everyone, I'm Mark Grasse, and this is Podcast Mark, where I talk to friends, colleagues, and business professionals who I've worked with in the past and are currently working with. Today, I have somebody from the digital marketer community, Axel Simon. He's actually a certified partner at Digital Marketer. We've actually been talking for a long time. I feel like has it been a couple of years now?
I guess more than a year, 1.5 years, about that.
Yeah,
Michelle
I
brought
think.
me in, and actually, as an
But
MCCM, as a certified community manager, and not actually with my key business, sales and marketing.
really, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, you do awesome. I mean, I think every time you've come to the meetings there, it's you contribute a lot, you ask a ton of great questions, and you seem genuinely open to learning, which I think is super unique, especially with marketing, because I think with marketing, people have their preconceptions and their kind of like personal philosophies, and they try to insert that into everything versus just kind of executing a framework, seeing how it goes, and then taking what you like and leaving what you don't. How do you kind of stay open to learning new things? Because you seem very
Uh,
curious.
the thing is, I was brought up in the hospitality business.
Ah,
So I started as a waiter, then was trained as a chef, then went to the front desk, made my hotel business specialist, worked my way through Asia, Europe, America, back to Europe and Germany. And the
ah,
first thing you learn there is that at a certain age, you start mentorship by really doing things. So in the early days, I had an extremely nice banquet with very old ship owners. And there was one youngster always snipping for me, like, hey, waiter, waiter. And then one of the old guys stood up and said, Mr. So-and-so wants to ask for um, taking over the whole bill of this night because his behavioral pattern does not fit to our table. And the lesson I learned there was uh, if you really care about people, you have to understand what they're doing, how valuable their position is, and even the tiniest person working in, let's say, housekeeping is essential to the success of a business in the hospitality business. Because when you enter a room and it's not done perfectly, uh, it will irritate you immediately.
oh
And I
yeah.
tried to keep that up throughout my whole life. I left hospitality as a business. I'm still a hotel owner. In 1993, changed into the IT business and consulting, always with this basic idea how to serve people better, how to
Mm,
understand their problems instead of trying to sell a product.
love
Uh,
that.
I usually refer to it like if somebody's approaching you in a hardware store and asking for a drilling machine, what is his problem? It's not the drilling machine, it's a hole in the wall.
Mm,
He wants to hang up something. So it's much more fun and more binding for the client to ask him about the purpose and his problem and offer him a solution. And yeah, I did that for many, many years. I went for 25 years, I worked in the consultancy, and then switched due to some health issues into multi-level marketing, again with the focus on serving people for a better life, better income. And by that ran into this kind of, yeah, living hell called social media, uh, where I was absolutely overwhelmed by this kind of shabby clutter named content instead of real messages. And I
mm,
already asked for the Thieves of Socrates. Mm, is the message you have really important to others?
mm.
And
Wow.
95% of the time, it's not. And now, especially with your field of interest, AI, many people produce so much extremely bad and worthless content instead of thinking what they're actually dropping into the system, that it's even more important to think about your clients. And right now, I work with many people who own their business for more than 15 to 20 years, real adults. And their key issue is that they really lost track on the problems of their clients.
Mm.
They love their products. They love the solutions these products really serve, but they're not able to really speak the language of the clients.
Mm.
I talked to Atiba de Souza, you know him,
Oh yeah.
that why people are so afraid to talk to their customers. And he came up with the idea, which I will test in the next weeks, that people are afraid of getting a bad response or negative response.
Mm.
And how can you run a business, be an entrepreneur or business owner or executive, without having the backbone to stand a negative answer? It should be a challenge, and you should not be afraid of it. So what I do right now is, regarding all these ideas of personal services, help people to understand their clients again. Dare to ask them, talk to them, talk about their problems, your solution you're offering, and how to really bridge that problem. And this bridging process for me is marketing,
Mm.
because regarding your customer experience journey, I want to have them as brand ambassadors.
Mm.
Solve a client, the problems of a client, and get him on board, reflect upon his personal needs, and dare to talk to him. He will always be a reference for me. And the
That makes
thing is, George DeBuff wrote about it many years ago in the early 80s, how to win a customer and keep him forever. He said, don't care about the individual business or sales. Think about the client as a lifelong friend of your business and brand. So if you cannot solve his problem, tell him that you can't, offer him a colleague of yours as a solution, recommend him. So you lose your competition in the market, because when the people know that you're open-minded, they will never start any kind of fights with you.
Mm.
They will never argue about you. They will never talk bad about you, because they get best business from you. And you're still in the center and the focus of the interest of your client. And sooner or later, he will even ask for problem with comes up with friends or other colleagues with other problems and ask you to help them. And that's my business. About 90% of the business I have depends on recommendation. So my
Love that.
clients recommend me as a problem solver, as somebody you can talk to, instead of being just the solution provider. And in many cases, I listen to the people and tell them, sorry, I'm the wrong guy, but here's the address and the contact. I will give him a call. He will call you back. He might be able to solve your problem.
I love
Much
that.
easier.
Well, I love the content. We'll go through everything you said, because I love how you started in hospitality from the ground up. Because I think a lot of times when you have like trained executives or trained managers and they've never actually done the job that they're managing, they have no context for what the employees are going through. They have no
Yep.
context of why the customer is coming to them in the first place. And honestly, they don't care, because without that understanding of what people are going through, there's no way you can care. That's like saying, hey, how is it walking on the moon? And it's like, well, I don't know, I've never been to the moon, how could I possibly answer that question? And but that's essentially what we're trying to do when you have people in leadership positions that just have no experience of what's going on. And honestly, for the last 10 to 20 years, and I say this constantly, it's probably in every episode, it hasn't been necessary, because we've been able to basically create ad systems that we could push out, and it just generated money, and we're fine with that. Like, we're making money, all the numbers are good, and so we don't actually need to care about the customer. We don't need to care about the product or service being really good, because who cares? We'll just get more customers. There's a million of those jerks out there. Like, who cares? And that's coming to a head at this point, because I think all the customers now have less money to spend, so they're being much more particular. There's less businesses in business, or there's going to be less businesses in business very soon, because the perspective that they had was this: I need to make money, and that's my primary responsibility and care, and the only thing that I really need to concern myself with. And those two things mean that I think that everybody has to come around to your perspective, which is really the perspective of just having a good business and having care for your customer.
I
And
would even dig deeper in there, Mark.
mm,
When you think about the last 20 years, the source of information we now have at our fingertips
mm,
is extraordinary. Years
unprecedented.
ago, you can come up with a claim in the market, and nobody was actually able to search for proof. Now, it doesn't matter. Whatever you bring onto the market, it can be compared to others immediately, on the spot. And so the more infotaining your content is, the less the people are likely to check it. And if
Mm,
you prove your product to be good and tell the people not to talk about it, they will, because they're human beings. So you can overcome the clutter. But the thing for me is right now, really to bring people back to understand the other side. There's still people out there, they've got these choices at their fingertips, without any kind of service. And I want to bring back people to talk to each other and ask for service.
mm,
Because the delivery of goods will be an fully automated process within the next 2 to 3 years,
yep.
even on production on demand. You want to have your car in blue with gray seats and headlights from a different company, it will be done immediately.
Huh.
But who takes care about the infrastructure, the car, the service? Those people, we are usually telling them, oh, you're not white collar. I don't work with you. These folks are extremely, extremely valuable. And if you can be a bridge between service, product, and client, you're in the market.
Mm,
And that's I love about good copy. And copywriting comes to really an art. I know you really be that artist, or Billy Bros or Ben. Uh, there's a human factor in there. There's an inviting part in there. There's a non-judging part in there, like, hey, we don't put a blame on you because you have the problem. There will be a status quo situation, ideal situation, problem solves, or looking for a solution in between, and your personal offer and why you can prove your claim. And with this kind of strategy, actually, it's a rhetoric NLP thing, but it still works because people like to be recognized. They want to hear stories of real people. They do not like a we if somebody's sitting in front of them. They like to hear the I.
yes.
I take the responsibility.
I
Most people
love that.
don't give a S about how this we constructed. They want to talk to you.
Yeah. Well,
And
they
I
want to know
love
you
the
care.
idea of content companies in the early 80s when they came up with the idea of, yes, I can.
Mm,
I am the responsible person for you. If you got a problem, I listen to you. I will take you by the hand and we will walk up to the guy who can solve your problem. I had this experience in Phoenix, in Arizona, when I talked to some friends who set up their businesses there. They went to the council. There was one attendee taking them by the hand and made the whole run through the whole office building with them.
hmm,
So they
love
got
it.
registered as citizens. They got their new license plates for the car. They got the company listed. They got the tax number, and they got the social security number within 3.5 hours.
Wow.
This is a process that I'm looking forward everywhere in business. One guy being responsible, taking the, let's say, load on him or her, and walk you through a whole process. And
I
this will
love.
be the marketing and the market of the future.
Well, and it'll be a whole new pile of jobs too, because I think I
Yeah.
never even had that perspective of like, okay, what's everybody gonna be doing? And my thing was like, well, they need to retrain themselves to, do something useful, probably with AI. But what you're saying is totally true because we haven't had that capacity before because we've been so busy with so much administration crap that we just worried about automation and kind of forgot about the customer. But what you're saying could work for almost every business if it was like, here's your onboarding process. This person is assigned to you to make sure you get every single question answered and they care about you and they've done this 1,000 times and this is going to be easy. We don't have to automate this process other than creating a procedure for caring people to follow. and now they have time to do it because we're not doing a bunch of data entry, and entire departments of people don't have to be dedicated to things that can be automated and should be automated. And I think that's where the AI debate really comes to a head, is because everybody's worried about these jobs that are going to be lost. And I'm like, these jobs are jobs nobody likes. They're not human jobs. They are robot jobs, and that's fine. We've automated tons of crap in the past. Like, this is just the automation of dumb information entry stuff, and
But
we
to
don't
be
have to do it anymore.
honest, in every period we had, like industrialization, post-industrialization, Industry 4.0, there was a huge loss of jobs, and nobody realized it.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing we right now have, if we really able to find those more introvert, communicative people who are able to listen to others, and on the other hand, bring people really to, yeah, their basic belief, their specialties, and promote them in there. That a nerd can be a nerd and still remain a nerd, but a very valuable specialist
Mm.
because he has somebody who does the linking for him. And I think this kind of linkative jobs, I tend to call them, will be the future. Because the people will be fed up with AI, let's say, last 3 to 4 years, because they will feel how much of input is coming in there without any kind of real meaning.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what people are there for, right? To
Yeah.
give things meaning, and you can give them whatever meaning you want, really. And that's kind of why, with the boot camp I have coming up for branding, is I kind of realized that everything is branding, like every
Yeah.
component of your business, just like in hospitality, down from the CEO down to the housemaid or whatever. Everybody has to be on the same page, because if all of those details are not figured out, then the customer is going to recognize it. They're going to know you don't care, and that's going to be reflected in them either coming back and referring business, or telling everybody that your business is not good and you shouldn't use them because they don't care about people. But there's something else you said about the people kind of transitioning into these roles that are people oriented, that I think is just brilliant, because that is the future. Well, no. Actually, the thought was that they're more connected to the result. And I think right now what you have is most positions have zero connection to the result. They're just cogs in a wheel, and they input their stuff. Yeah, they get their job done. Yeah, they might care about the customer, but they're so removed from the customer that it's impossible to even understand the experience. And so now you have a disconnect between the employee and the customer, and that disconnects, well, and the employee and the results that they want, which is to make a difference in the business.
And the brand vision and I'm just setting up a new company called Leadership Crew,
Oh,
where we try to bring people back and being co-entrepreneurs, not staff,
I
because
love that.
staff is like stuffed in a room. Here you've got your task, but most of the people, after a short while, think about the business they do work for, about their employer. Some
Mm,
already lost their visions. There's just a huge credo or slogan above the door, but it's hollow.
nothing.
No life in it anymore. And on the other side, mm, too many people rely on a kind of knowledge that is a waste the same moment you gather it. So
Mm,
if somebody, I call them tiny ankle biters. When they come from the universe, tell you something about marketing, human behavioral patterns and things like that, I tell them, okay, close your laptop. Why? Look into my eyes. Now repeat the whole story again. And tell me if I believed one goddamn word of your speech. No. I said, yeah. You know why? Life will prove you a totally different story.
yes.
Nobody will ever buy a goddamn product. They buy you. Your attitude towards them, to your problem, to your solution, and nothing else. So if you sell out of a catalog, welcome to Amazon. You have to pay Amazon to be that person that you will never be.
Mm-hmm.
Reliable, fast, decent, done. But if you want to deal with people, Close your laptop, look into their eyes, listen to what they speak, what they are not able to speak, and feel their behavioral and emotional pattern. If you don't bring them in a positive mood when they talk to you, leave your job. You're done. Nobody will ever believe you. Nobody will believe in you. And people I do not believe in, I will not make business with it. You're out.
Love it.
And this lesson to be taught, especially in the time of influencers, where somebody is really max filtered, with kind of B shit in his hand, telling you, hey, you got to buy it, otherwise life's hating. Nice try.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, your
it's
entire
more
philosophy.
hands-on. It's a reality. If you're
Yeah.
really playing bogus with a guy doing your gardening and he's gone, you have to take care of it yourself because he will talk to the other guys doing that family de Grasse is a problem. And nobody wants to work with a problem.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, and I
And as
think
we all know that there are two bad things in the market. One disappointed client tells 15 about his disappointment. One really fed up, perfectly served person tells two. And the general idea about marketing is invest 4 times the money into new customers instead of keeping the old.
mm,
And everybody knows when you've got a disappointed customer and bring him back to life, he will talk about this experience to at least 15 people. They solved it. They bowed their head. They helped me. They did not insist on being me stupid or call myself stupid. They
yeah,
simply referred to me as a positive being. And this is the stuff that we all lost. And if we can bring that back, there's no problem with our BIP, as we call it, our social product, because we can really bring people back into the situation of, hey, you want to have a service? Pay for it.
go for
It's
it.
not included.
Well, and honestly, if you really go down that path of like serving the customer, then you doing a bad job is evidence that they shouldn't be with you and that there is somebody better. And that, if you really care about them, you'll want them to go with the other solution, which then makes referring people to other places obvious and really makes you care about the people who you can serve the best. And so it sounds like everything is like give, 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 but really it's an exchange. You're getting
It
just as
is.
much benefit from serving them really well as they are getting an awesome service or an awesome product. And so,
Mark, well, what is a good business? It's a win-win situation for both sides.
exactly, it has to be,
Yeah.
you know. And if it's not, then one side's losing, right? And ideally, especially with business, is every side wins. And I
Yeah.
think that's what everybody's transitioning to. So I think your entire philosophy is the future, really. And if we can convince everybody else, we don't have to convince everybody else. Everybody else is tired of how things
No,
are
they have to
today, and so
realize it.
they
We
are
cannot
changing.
we cannot teach anybody. We cannot
Ah,
teach
that's a good point.
everybody. The thing is, we can really be an example.
Yes.
You set up your personal brand as Mark de Grasse. I did as my person. Our business in the hotel area is now in the business since 1856.
Wow.
So we know our market, we know our clients, and we know how fragile this setup is. And when you talk about brands, I always start to smile because a brand is a personality. So the first thing that should be a brand always is yourself. Look into the mirror, you're the brand.
Mm,
Behave like your brand. If you're employed, think about the brand experience the client of the company should have to remember you. I had that even as a youngster, as a waiter, that guests came in on which station Axel's working today. I've got some important clients. We need some multilingual support. Get them in. And if you refer to that, it doesn't matter in what kind of level within your structure you're working. You or the business is depending on you.
mm.
And then you feel much better. You go home after that, feeling much better. You get lots of more of tip. And the same thing if you transfer that into the business, a B2B situation. If somebody's not caring about the money anymore because he knows that it's a worry-free solution, he will always come back to you. If you come up with a questionnaire, really asking all the necessary questions to get the job done in detail, ask Did I really get you right when you said this or that? Jot that down, bring that with the contract and tell the guys that will be that much, but it's a carefree solution. We don't need your staff working there. You don't need to have any kind of additional crafters coming in. We bring all the complete solution and we're done at date dot. Welcome or not, and they will pay for it.
That's fantastic. And you'll feel great about it, and you'll make money, and everybody wins. So, no, I think you really have the future of how marketing is going to work moving forward. And it is, because I kind of refer to it as like, okay, we're going back to how marketing used to be, but even then it wasn't really customer focused. It was still, how do we get people to buy this thing? And I think what you're talking about is actually the next evolution, which is, no, we're not just saying the customer is important because we want to make more money. We actually feel that the customer is important, and yeah, we'll make more money, but that's not the point. And
so what do we need marketing for? First thing is brand awareness. If you're not on the market, not present on the market, nothing will happen. So marketing for me is building up the emotional and psychology bridge between the brand and the client, containing of storytelling, product definitions, experience stories, bringing in all the kind of relationships with the surrounding infrastructure, that you're not a competitor anymore. Hey, feel free to contact me. If I've got too much business, we can share. This kind of, hey, I put the finger on you, I put the blame on that one. And I always tell the people, stay away from bad and negative talking about products, because they were made by people. So when you say in general, like, let's use a German term, Volkswagen is bull. You talk about 3.5 million people working for Volkswagen. It's a statement you're not allowed to put out. Think about the proper situation. I have got some problems with the ignition. The ignition is in my car is a mess. That's okay. But to talk about this kind of generalizing with everything will come back to you. It does not help you emotionally, and the people realize it. If you talk negative about something, they realize it, and they will come back with that to you. And even if you do not listen to it, the feed.
Yeah, well, and not just, and it's at every level. It's not just the customer will feel it, your employees will feel it, and honestly, you will feel it, even if you're not acknowledging that that's actually the issue. So yeah. I think we could go on this forever. So I definitely want to have you back soon to discuss that, and love to hear more about your group. Where can people learn more about you in the meantime?
Actually, over LinkedIn. You'll find me there with axel.simon.neg. And wherever you look in social media with this axel.simon.neg, you will find me.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Axel. Really appreciate the time. Love your philosophy. And like I said, I think it's the future. And honestly, the future is now, because we're all having to shift. Things are a little nutty. So I think this is the best time people could start to implement things like this.
Yeah, I'm 60 years old, so who cares anyway? But as usual, it was a pleasure talking to you. And the thing is that I want really to bring over to everybody. It's not, has got nothing to do with age. It's the ability and the willingness to stay open.
Yes.
Some call it learning. I call it to be open for more experiences. It's much easier.
Oh, yeah. Well, and be present, you don't have to have a goal of being like this in the future. You could just act like this right now, and you'll benefit from it in the future too. But the point is that you start today, start changing things, and put into action. I think I think now is the age of action, where it's like, what? Absolutely. Yeah, we could make plans all day, and we could have philosophies, and we could do all these things, but if you don't implement it right now, like I care about my customer right now, because they'll change the way you behave immediately, then you're going to be missing out. And why delay? It's it's time for change. Let's do it.
Was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Axel. Always appreciate your time, and definitely talk soon.
Cool.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Podcast Mark. Tune in next time for more personal philosophy and personal development, professional development, and of course, business development in AI. We always end it. Thank you so much.